can. My point of view is in the illustrations. The book exists. Reading pictures is a very complicated, subjective thing. I cannot ensure that my pictures are read the way I intended them. I can only approach each illustration with as much thoughtfulness and research and empathy as I can muster, and that's what I genuinely, sincerely tried to do with this book. The arguments and the criticisms have been diverse. There are some people who wish slavery was not in a book for these young children. They think it is too complicated and painful a subject for very young children to encounter. There are some people who think, as I believe Daniel does, that it sugarcoats or whitewashes the issue of slavery, that it doesn't go far enough, that it shows slavery as perhaps something that might have been fun or pleasurable. And those ideas are very painful for me to hear, because that is abhorrent to me, the idea that we might have produced something that some people could possibly read as being fun or pleasurable. The narrative which I have objected to, which has spread around the internet, is that I have shown smiling slaves having fun while they're working. And I don't truly believe that, not only do I not believe this is not what I intended, clearly, I don't believe this is what I've shown. Thank you for, and this is certainly not the response I'm getting from children when they read the book. They have a visceral response. They have so many questions, and we talk about this, and teachers have told me that they talk about it too, and so have parents. So I appreciate so much that there are these different conversations, but the consensus, and really that I'm hearing, is that there is no consensus. And I think that is what I would really like for us all to maybe talk about and think about, is that there can be coexisting different views, and that even African American people, even descendants of slaves, can have opposing and different views. And there are those blog posts that exist, and you can read about them too. Varian Johnson wrote just this morning. He is an African American writer. He has 2 daughters, picture book age, and he is from South Carolina, and he's the descendant of slaves. And he wrote initially that he had read this book with his daughters, that he loved the book. Then he read about the controversy, and he needed to go back and look at it again. And he did look at it again, and he ultimately decided that it works for him. He thinks it's a book that needs conversation, and he thinks that there are many layers, and he can understand why some people see it in many different ways, but it works for him. And I think that's all, I mean, I would say many things, but I think that's one of the things that I would say is, I would never want everybody to read every book I make. I would want them to read it if they wanted to read it. I'm not forcing anybody to read this book. I am interested and intrigued and want to learn from many different opinions and responses to it. I think I'm loving that we are having this conversation, and thank you all for coming, and I'm so full of admiration for everything that you do in the classroom and with your students, and how much you care about books, and the fact that you're here is all, speaks volumes. So I would hope that no teacher gives any class one book that touches on slavery. I would hope that they read many, many different points of view on it. And I think what this book tries to do, which most books on the subject of slavery don't, is it tries to tackle it in the wider context of a sweeping history, not a comprehensive history, because we could only choose 4 families in 400 years. So it is a very particular story of these individual 4 families. But it tries to put it in that context so that when I read this in a classroom, a diverse classroom where there are black kids and white kids, they look at these pictures, and then they look at each other, and then they look at the pictures again, and then they get to the end of the book, which hopefully is a more representative picture of their lives, but they can see this other really important part of our history in that context. And I think that has been a very important part of the book.
I think a